For spine-chilling true Uber horror tales. Exposed secrets of the cursed and sinister rides. Jenna gripped the steering wheel as raindrops pelted her windshield like angry little fists. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears, drowning out the sound of the thunderstorm raging outside. This was supposed to be just another night behind the wheel, driving for Uber while her kids slept peacefully at home, their dreams untouched by the chaos outside. But why did it feel like something was hunting her? The first ride of the night arrived a dapper young man with a charming smile to match his tailored suit. He slid into the back seat, and the scent of his expensive cologne filled the cramped car. Jenna's nerves tingled. It was strange how instantly she felt both drawn to and repelled by him. "I must say," he began, a smirk tugging at the corner of his lips, "you must have quite a life taking care of those little ones. But you look so tired. What kind of dark secrets are you hiding, Jennifer?" Chills cascaded down Jenna's spine. Was it just his dark, piercing eyes? Or did he see right through her? She forced a chuckle, brushing it off like rain off her coat. "Just a single mom trying to make ends meet," she replied, her voice wavering slightly. The tension in the car thickened as he leaned closer, his gaze uncomfortably intense. Perfectly manicured lawns often hide the deadliest weeds underneath. The atmosphere turned heavy, like the storm brewing outside. His words hung there ominous. And before she knew it, they had arrived at his destination, a murky alley cloaked in shadows. Jenna's breath hitched. The back of her neck prickled. And just like that, he was gone, leaving her with an unsettling sense of foreboding. Before she could shake it off, her phone buzzed in her lap, a text from an unknown number. "You're not safe, there's a dark secret in your neighborhood." The words sent ice coursing through her veins. She dismissed it as a prank, but one shred of doubt lingered in the back of her mind, gnawing at her sanity. Days rolled into nights, each ride becoming a reminder of that encounter, and each passenger taking her deeper down a path she didn't want to explore. Families with seemingly perfect lives, hiding something sinister behind their ivy-covered homes. As she continued her late-night shifts, the messages trickled in. One described a well-liked neighbor and his dealings that would make any mother shudder. Another reminded her of the untrustworthy smile of her book club companion, someone she had once considered a friend. Then came that night the storm rattled her windows, rain thumping harder than ever. Jenna picked up a familiar face, a father of 3. The giggles of his children echoed in her mind. But something about him felt off tonight, a predator cloaked in parental normalcy. As she drove, her heart raced. The rearview mirror revealed his eyes fixated on her, flickering with an unsettling hunger. Jenna could almost feel the cold gaze crawling over her skin. Paranoia tightened around her throat, choking back a scream. "Everything okay?" he asked, his smile too wide to be genuine. "Yeah, I am fine," she stammered, but her instinct screamed otherwise. Before she could erase any trace of fear, her phone buzzed again, another anonymous warning, this time more threatening. "We see you, Jenna. You won tea leave. We always know where you are." Panic rose within her, a tidal wave of dread crashing into her mind. They were watching her. She needed to escape. But how could she flee when she realized the neighbors she trusted were a part of something far darker than she ever imagined? Just as she made plans to flee, the weight of realization bore down on her. The community she thought she knew was a mirage, hiding sharp claws behind perfectly tailored smiles. Hearts pounding as the storm continued to rage outside, Jenna wrapped her fingers tightly around her phone, determination hardening her resolve. As she glanced in the rearview mirror once more, the moonlight caught the father's eyes, and she felt the shadows closing in around her. The chase was on. But did she dare to confront the fear lurking in her suburban paradise? Or would it consume her before she could find a way out? The rain pounded harder, almost drowning out her thoughts. Jenna's mind raced. Every street she turned felt like another trap, every light she passed illuminating the faces of those she thought she knew. She needed a plan, a way to uncover the truth. But fear kept gnawing at her, a relentless whisper urging her to turn back, to hide, to give up. "Where to next?" the father asked, his voice slick with a false sweetness. A lump formed in her throat as she skimmed the road ahead, battling against the urge to glance at him in the mirror. He was still watching, his eyes cold and calculating. Just keep driving straight," she managed, forcing her voice steady. Distraction was crucial. But even her navigation couldn't save her from the cold grip of paranoia settling deeper in her bones. The rain blurred her vision, twisting shapes into shadows. What if he was part of the web of secrets surrounding her? What if he knew something, anything that could shatter her fragile world? Suddenly, the thought of her children flashed in her mind, and a wave of anger surged. She couldn't let fear control her. Glancing at her phone, she flicked open the last message. "We see you," the words scrolled through her mind like an insidious taunt. If they were watching her, she needed to find out who we were before they turned their gaze on her kids. She turned to him, summoning her courage. "Why do you always pick the same ride?" Her question caught him off guard, and for a moment his smile faded. "Why wouldn't I? You're good at what you do." But something in his voice dripped with contempt. Jenna's stomach twisted. There was something else hidden, a sick amusement lurking behind those words. "What do you know about the neighborhood?" she pressed, trying to sound casual. His laughter rang hollow. "Oh, plenty. Let's just say, some houses have more than pretty facades. They have secrets." She felt her blood run cold, her heartbeat drumming louder in her ears. She was not going to be a victim. Not tonight. Channeling her desperation, she made a sharp turn, veering into a side street lined with tall trees. "Where are you going?" he asked, confusion painted across his face. "Just a shortcut," she replied, refusing to back down. The sharpness of fear fueled her determination. She could do this. But the deeper she drove, the more she could sense the darkness closing in. Shadows danced among the trees like figures waiting just beyond her view. The storm continued to clash above, wagging its finger at her, warning her to turn back. They reached a dead end of forsaken park bearing the scars of neglect. The streetlights flickered ominously, revealing graffiti that lurked beneath the tattered remnants of a once vibrant place. Jenna's heart skipped as she parked. "Why are we stopping?" the father asked, his voice suddenly low and menacing. "I just need a minute," she said, grasping for control. The atmosphere crackled with tension. But before she could think, his hand shot out and gripped her wrist, a vice of terror clenching her very soul. His smile was gone, replaced by raw predatory intent. "You don't want to be here, Jenna. You have no idea who you're messing with." She yanked her arm back, her breath hitching. "Let me go." The desperation in her voice echoed against the hollowed park, but deep down, she knew he was right. This place reeked of danger. Jenna's mind raced. She needed help. Someone, anyone, but would she even get a chance to call? Just then, a light pierced the darkness, a beacon in the murky fog. A distant car pulled up, illuminating the monstrous silence of the park. Her hopes lifted for just a moment. But as the headlights glinted off the father's face, she saw his smile return, twisted and malevolent. The shadows shifted behind him, as if in agreement. "Looks like our friends have arrived," he said, his voice dripping with malice. Dread settled in the pit of her stomach. Who were these friends? What awaited her in the dark corners of her neighborhood? As the headlights turned, laughter erupted from the shadows, a chorus chilling enough to freeze her blood. Jenna was trapped, and she had no idea what they wanted from her. In that moment, the weight of her world collapsed around her, wrapping her in a shroud of chilling uncertainty. What had she stumbled into, and would she find a way to escape it before it was too late? The laughter faded at the edges of her fear, echoing into the trees like a haunting memory. Shadows swelled in the corners of her vision, dark figures materializing from the depths of night. Jenna's heart raced, a hammer pounding against her ribs as paralysis crept in. "Jenna," the father drawled, his voice low and tainted with pleasure. "You should see the looks on their faces." Panic spiked through her veins. Those lingering shadows weren't just figments of her imagination. They were real. They had come for her. With every thud of her pulse, she fought the urge to scream, to beg for help that felt too far away. "Get out of the car," he commanded. The words hung in the air, laced with a sickening finality. She swallowed hard, searching for an escape. Why, she stammered. There was no use in delaying the inevitable, but the fight in her flared. What do you want? But his answer was laughter, cold and cruel, as if they shared a joke she could never understand. Do you really want to know? A figure emerged, details sharpening as the headlights cut through the shroud of night. He stepped into the light, a stranger with hollow eyes and a smile that hinted at something sinister. Ricky, the father introduced with distorted pride. He has a little game in mind. Her mind raced, trying to process what this was: a gang? A twisted initiation? She felt the walls close in around her. Game? She echoed, dread pooling in her stomach. An ancient one, Ricky replied, stepping closer, the gleam in his eyes almost feral. Can you keep a secret, Jenna? With a sharp intake of breath, she wanted to shout, to lash out, but fear paralyzed her. What twisted play had they concocted? Let us say, it's time for a little exploration. He continued, jingling keys in his hand as if they were a toy. And you're the chosen one. Isn't that exciting? With a flick of his wrist, darkness seemed to swell around them, hunger igniting in the depths of those shadowy figures. And suddenly, her dread crystallized into understanding. They didn't just want to play, they wanted her as part of their dark game. She glanced around wildly, seeking a way out. I can't do this. The plea echoed weakly into the stillness. Oh, but you can. Ricky grinned wider, stretching the line of the twisted smile across his face. You'll make this night unforgettable. All we need is a little contribution from you. Adrenaline surged. A sudden urge to fight surged within her. I won't let you take me. She twisted in her seat, readying for a breakout. As she slammed the door open, a rush of rain hit her, mixing with fear. In that split second, shadows closed in, looming like predators in the wild, ready to pounce. With desperate strides, Jenna sprinted toward the park's edge, instinct guiding her through the scars of abandoned swings and broken slides. Shouts erupted behind her, laughter morphing into growls. Adrenaline fueled her legs, but the park, her sanctuary, now felt like a graveyard for lost souls. The rain poured colder, soaking her to the bone, merging her fear with the raw chill in the air. Just as she thought she found a way through, a figure sprang out, a shadow she recognized all too well. The father stood there, blocking her path, the manic grin stretching across his face even wider than before. Where do you think you're going? He called, his voice like ice. Gathering her resolve, Jenna turned back, the darkness closing in even tighter. She had to find a way to confuse them, to find anything to obscure her path. The trees rushed past as she cut through the underbrush, dodging the flickering lights behind her. But the laughter rang through the rain, snapping at her heels. Let the games begin. Ricky's voice bellowed, the echo a sinister promise that sent shivers racing down her spine. Jenna felt an urgency to push further, to escape the predators that stalked her. She would find a way out. She had to. As she found shelter beneath a sagging roof, breathless and trembling, she realized she could not only run but fight back. But how? And what exactly were they waiting for? The shadows inched closer, their hunger palpable, and she was left gasping for solutions, for allies in the deepening dark. Would anyone help her? As icy fingers of dread touched her heart, a distant howl of sirens broke through the night. Her breath hitched. Should she risk it? Could she trust them? What awaited Jenna in the depths of that park? And would the horrors hidden there finally consume her? The sirens wailed closer, filling the air with a mix of hope and dread. Jenna pressed her back against the damp wall, her heart racing at the thought of salvation and the danger that still lurked. But were the sirens meant for her rescue or a distraction for her pursuers? As she listened, the laughter behind her faded for a moment, replaced by rustling leaves and the soft splashes of water pooling around her feet. She could hear the unmistakable shuffling, the footsteps drawing nearer again. Mingling with the echo of distant sirens, her world was closing in, and she felt suffocated. Jenna, come out, wherever you are. Ricky's voice cooed, feigning a sing-song innocence that twisted like a knife in her stomach. His words dripped with malice, an invitation she would never accept. She crouched lower, straining to hear any indication of their next move. The park's silent moments were punctuated only by the sound of rain hitting the ground, masking the sinister plans unfolding behind the trees. Then, suddenly, the laughter broke out again, louder, mocking her every thought. "Keep playing hide and seek," her father shouted, the glee in his voice unervingly apparent. "You'll only be prolonging the inevitable." Jenna clenched her jaw, fighting against the rising tide of despair. She had to be smart. What had Ricky said? A game? An exploration? As the cold seeped through her clothes, a thought ignited. She could use the park's layout. "I know these grounds," she whispered to herself, adrenaline sharpening her focus. Scanning her surroundings, she recalled the old maintenance shed on the far side of the field, hidden under twisted branches. If she could reach it, maybe she could find anything that would help her. Taking a deep breath, Jenna pushed off the wall, moving slowly, deliberately. The rain masked her steps, a rhythmic beat to accompany her racing heart. Each shadow seemed to watch her as she moved, ready to swallow her whole. The laughter boomed again, closer now, urging her to hurry. "Where are you, Jenna? This is just getting fun," Ricky teased, his voice biting through the air. She bit her lip, the taste of iron flooding her mouth as she dashed toward the shed, praying silently for the door to be unlocked. The shadows danced around her with every step, nightmares come to life that wanted to tug her back into darkness. When she reached the creaky door, Jenna jerked it open, her breath catching in her throat. Inside, it was dark and cluttered, filled with rusted tools and broken toys. A shiver ran down her spine. What if they had been here before? What if her sanctuary was merely another trap? Panic clawed at her mind, yet she pressed in, searching frantically for a weapon or a way to escape. A flickering light bulb fought against the dark, casting eerie textures around her. She scanned the room until her eyes landed on a rusted shovel leaning against the wall. Clutching it like a lifeline, she felt a spark of defiance. But as she turned back, the laughter turned sinister again, echoing from the shadows outside. "Oh, Jenna, haven't you heard? The game's just begun." An icy grip of dread seized her heart. They were close, far closer than she imagined. The door hung slightly ajar, and her breath quickened. Panic surged within her, battling the icy clarity of survival. Then, a chilling realization hit her. What if they never intended to let her go? What if this demonic game had rules she didn't know? She had to find out. But how? Outside, the laughter blended with mocking whispers, and Jenna knew she had only a sliver of time left. She couldn't hide anymore. The sirens faded into the night, replaced by a predatory silence. Jenna took a deep, shuddering breath, clutching the shovel tightly, a makeshift weapon in the face of darkness. As shadows wrapped around her, she stepped out into the night once more, ready to confront her fate. In a moment of reckless courage, lingering echoes of their laughter surged from the depths. She called out, challenging them. "What happens next?" And just like that, the shadows shifted, and the true nature of their game edged closer, ready to reveal its twisted rules. What would Jenna face in the inevitable confrontation, and could she outsmart the darkness that hunted her? The darkness enveloped Jenna as she stepped outside the shed, the air thick with an oppressive stillness. Her heart raced, pounding in her ears, each beat echoing the looming dread. The laughter faded for a moment, replaced by the sound of her own breath, quick and shallow. The shadows loomed larger, stretching across the ground like dark fingers reaching for her. "Come on, Jenna. Are you afraid?" Ricky's taunt slithered through the air, menacing and playful, like a predator toying with its prey. She tightened her grip on the rusted shovel, knuckles white. "I'm not afraid," she shouted, her voice shaky but loud against the suffocating silence. Somewhere, deep inside, she hoped that strength could disguise her trembling heart. But the moment hung heavy, and she felt it in her bones. The oppressive power of the things lurking in the shadows, hungry for her. As she took a step forward, an idea sparked. If they thrived on fear, maybe fear was the only weapon she had. She would not run. She would confront them face to face. But would that provoke their wrath or give her an edge? Moving cautiously, Jenna headed toward the clearing where the park opened up, a sliver of vulnerability shining through the thick canopy of trees. She needed to see them. She had to know where they were, what they wanted. Suddenly, the laughter erupted again, surrounding her. Look at her. So brave. It was a chorus now. Voices layered over one another like a sinister wind, warping reality into a twisted playground of nightmares. Jenna stopped short. Why are you doing this? What's the game? Why? Ricky's voice felt like ice, slithering around her. You think it's a game? This is just a warm-up. We're here to teach you the rules. Before she could react, a form emerged from the trees. Her father stepped into the dim light, his figure silhouetted by the fading glow of the overhead fixtures. He looked different. Somehow his eyes gleamed with an unnatural excitement, a darkness that didn't belong to him. Please, Jenna whispered, feeling weaker under his gaze. Please? Oh, my dear, he mocked, stepping closer. It's too late for that. Rules are rules. His laughter mingled with the haunting whispers, an awful symphony of horror. In that moment, Jenna felt the weight of betrayal like a heavy stone in her stomach. This wasn't the father she knew. This man, cloaked in darkness, took joyful pleasure in her plight. The game had twisted him as it twisted her fears, creating a nightmare far worse than she could ever imagine. Now, the first rule, her father continued, his voice chillingly calm. You have to choose. Play along or face the consequences. Jenna's mind raced. Was this choice real or just another trap? What consequences? Don't you see? Ricky chimed in, a malevolent grin plastered across his face. Every second you resist makes it more fun for us. You are the star of our show. Panic clawed at her throat. The shadows quivered, closing in as if waiting for her decision. Would she proceed with their twisted game? Play along just to survive? Or stand against them, sparking whatever darkness they intended to unleash? Jenna looked around, searching for a way out, trying to conjure a plan in the jangling chaos of her thoughts. Make a choice, Jenna, Ricky taunted, laughing cruelly. Who do you want to save? The question screamed through her mind, echoing off the walls of her desperation. Could she trust any of them? Will you play or will you perish? With darkness closing in fast, and the laughter growing louder, Jenna understood that her answer would shape everything from this moment on. But what part would she play in this sinister act? Would she finally dare to uncover the truth behind their game? As the echoes of their laughter swallowed her, every heartbeat pulsed with dread. In her gut, a flicker of resolve ignited. She would not let them define her fate. The unwritten rules of this game glimmered in the darkness, waiting to be broken. Would she dare to play the game her way? Jenna's heart pounded in her chest, a relentless drumbeat of fear. The shadows swirled around her, whispering taunts, thickening the air until it felt like a living creature suffocating her. She gripped the shovel harder, her mind a wild storm of thoughts. Do it, Jenna. Ricky's voice wove into the laughter, teasing and serpentine. Choose. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, but it was a trap. She knew that now. Running would only deepen their amusement, their power over her. Taking a breath, she steadied herself. What if I choose to play? She shouted into the dark. What does that mean? Such a smart girl. Ricky laughed, and his mirth echoed as if coming from all around her. You'll understand soon enough. Just remember, every choice can cost you something, maybe everything. Jenna glanced at her father, his eyes glimmering like twin points of darkness, devoid of warmth. You're not my dad, she stammered, her grief twisting into anger. Oh, sweetheart, he said, his voice silky smooth and chilling. I'm far more than that now. This is what freedom looks like. Before she could process his words, the laughter erupted again, filling the space like a suffocating fog. They were all around her now, those twisted friends she thought she knew. The night seemed to pulse with life, dark and hungry. Very well, she said, forcing courage into her voice. I choose to play. Instantly, the atmosphere shifted, electrifying. The laughter stopped, replaced by a palpable tension that wrapped around her. Heavy and thick. Ricky grinned, his teeth glistening like knives in the dim light. Excellent. A great start. He clapped his hands sharply, the sound shattering the silence. Jenna felt the shadows parting, revealing a path that snaked deeper into the thick woods. "What's next?" she demanded, trying to mask her growing apprehension. "Next," Ricky said, his smile widening, "you must find something that belongs to you. A treasure hidden in shadows. It's the only way to prove you're worthy to join us." As he spoke, the dark figures around her shifted, becoming darker, more defined. Jenna's eyes darted around, searching the engulfing gloom, her heart thumping. "How will I know what it is? The thrill is in the hunt." Ricky purred, his arms sweeping wide as if embracing the very night itself. "But be careful. Not all treasures bring joy. Some come with a price." Jenna hesitated, fear pooling in her stomach. "What kind of price?" "Find it and you'll understand." His voice dipped, the gleeful menace lacing his words, chilling her to the bone. "Or maybe you won tea." With a nod from her father, the shadows seemed to ripple, twisting and morphing, revealing a path lined with contorted trees, their branches like grasping hands. In the distance, she thought she could hear whispers her name on the wind, calling her forward. "Go on, Jenna. Be brave. Don't keep the shadows waiting." The chorus of laughter erupted again, urging her into the dark. Tension clenched her chest as adrenaline coursed through her veins. She stepped forward, barely able to breathe, and felt eyes on her watching, waiting. The darkness swallowed her whole, and every step felt like a descent into an abyss. Was there truly a treasure waiting for her, or something far worse? A sudden chill swept through the trees, gobbling her confidence. But Jenna marched on, fueled by desperation and one burning question. What price was she willing to pay for her freedom? As she ventured deeper, a flicker of movement caught her eye, something shimmering just beyond the trees. But before she could take another step, a familiar voice echoed out from the depths of the shadows. "Jenna, don't you want to know what we've hidden?" The darkness around her thickened, the laughter quieting to a tense silence filled with ominous anticipation. In this game, Jenna was no longer the player. She was the hunted. Would she dare to uncover the true nature of this treasure, or would it pull her deeper into their nightmare? Jenna hesitated, her breath hitching in her throat. The voice belonged to Lily, a friend turned adversary, as twisted as the shadows swallowing her. The question hung heavily in the air, curling like smoke around her. She stepped forward, the old leaves crunching underfoot, a sound that echoed in the vast silence. "What have you hidden, Lily?" she called, trying to sound bold, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her fear. Something precious, the whisper slithered through the darkness, a melody of malice. "It used to be yours, remember?" The trees closed in, their gnarled branches creeping, clawing at her flesh as if warning her not to go any further. But Jenna had to know. A flicker of anger ignited inside her. She had been robbed of so much. The darkness wouldn't take any more from her. Following the shimmering light, she pushed deeper into the woods. The air grew cold, nipping at her cheeks. A fog drifted up from the ground, clinging to her ankles, enveloping her in a shroud that made it hard to think. She blinked hard, trying to clear her mind, trying to escape the sensation of being watched. She entered a small clearing. Her heart mirrored the frenzied beating of her thoughts. Before her, a stone pedestal thrust up from the earth like a grave marker. In the center rested a small, glimmering object, a locket. Jenna's stomach churned as recognition washed over her. It was her mother's. She hesitated, reaching out to grasp it. Memories flooded back, laughter, warmth, a comforting embrace. But something nagged at her, a shadow lurking behind the nostalgia. "What's the price?" she whispered, her voice barely escaping her lips. Suddenly, the laughter erupted behind her, harsh and piercing. "Oh, Jenna!" Ricky's voice echoed, cruel and ringing in her ears. "You must understand, some treasures are tainted. To wear it again, you must shed something of your own." A memory, perhaps. A part of who you are. The shadows thickened. A pulse in the ground beckoning her. Jenna clenched her fists, fighting an urge to recoil. She wanted to shout, to demand an explanation, but the weight of their anticipation kept her silent. What will it be? Lily taunted, her figure emerging from the darkness, eyes glinting like shards of glass. The past or a chance at what's left of your future. The locket beckoned with its gentle glow, something sweet yet sinister, a promise mingling with a threat. Jenna looked at the faces of her friends, twisted with glee in the shadows, and the moment elongated, stretching her resolve to its breaking point. Do it, Jenna, they urged, their voices a cacophony of excitement, forcing her to contemplate the impossible. Then something shifted in the air, a darkness deeper than before, wrapping around her mind. A cold sweat dripped down her back. What if I refuse? She spat, her voice stronger now, though doubt gnawed at her heart. Then you'll lose more than you can imagine. Ricky's voice crawled through the space, lingering like a foul stench. This game only has one way to win. Jenna shuddered as shadows tugged at her legs, pulling her toward the locket and away from her friends. The choice loomed before her, ominous and unavoidable. Time began to slip through her fingers. Choose, Jenna, they chanted, the forest alive, breathing as one. The exhilaration building toward a climax she couldn't comprehend. The pressure mounted, a heartbeat against the silence. What price would she pay for a piece of her past? And if she refused, what darkness awaited her in return? The shadows pressed closer, and she felt herself slipping. Who will you become? The darkness whispered, a sound all too familiar yet terrifyingly foreign. In that moment, the path behind her vanished, and all that remained was the terrifying unknown ahead. Each heartbeat echoed the question lingering in her mind as the glimmer of the locket drew closer, promising both salvation and doom. Could she dare to choose? Would the price be too steep? With trembling hands, she reached for the glimmering treasure, knowing full well the shadows would not be satisfied until she made her choice. Jenna's fingers hovered above the locket, the weight of the moment pressing hard against her chest. The whispers from behind twisted her insides like a squeeze of icy dread. She could feel her heartbeat thrumming louder, echoing through the dense silence. Choose, Lily's voice commanded, dripping with malice. What will it be, your past or your future? With every ounce of her being screaming to back away, Jenna stood rooted in place. The shimmering surface of the locket beckoned, promising comfort wrapped in betrayal. Was it really her mother's? Or was it just a trick to snare her into darkness? A rush of cold air swept through the clearing, and she shivered. I refuse, she breathed, her voice cracking yet defiant. Suddenly, the shadows twisted violently. Ricky and Lily's laughter morphed into cries of rage. You fool! Their voices rang out, hollow echoes filling the woods. The ground beneath her began to pulse, throbbing like a dark heartbeat that resonated through Jenna's body. Don't you see? You're already losing. Ricky hissed, the tendrils of shadow creeping closer, their dark fingers curling around her ankles. Panic surged through her. She fought against the grip, but it only tightened, pulling her down into the suffocating murk. No! Stop! She screamed, thrashing, but the shadows twined around her wrists like iron shackles. It was hard to breathe. If you want to take back what is yours, then we'll take from you. Lily spat, her eyes now aflame with fury. The air shimmered with a disorienting haze, specters of long-lost memories flashing before her eyes. Her first day of school, countless birthday parties, her mother's warm embrace. Each memory splintered and faded, slipping through her fingers like grains of sand, leaving a chilling emptiness gnawing at her core. Something dark slithered up her spine, the very essence of those memories trying to escape, and she gasped as a vision consumed her. A hollow figure, a mirror of herself but so much darker, emerged from the fog. It grinned with malevolent glee, feeding off her panic. What will you give up for your past? It taunted, the voice identical to her own, magnified with twisted delight. A little ache here, a fear there, or perhaps your very soul. Shut up, Jenna yelled, her heart pounding in her ears. She wanted to pull away, to scream, but the shadows tightened their hold, her world closing in. Your future is nothing, Ricky shouted. We will take your memories until you're nothing but a vessel. Jenna's chest tightened. The truth seeped in. It wasn't just the locket she would lose, but everything she had ever been. Let go of me. She fought against the shadows, desperate, flailing. A dim light sparked within her, the last flicker of resistance. With everything inside her, Jenna yanked hard at the chains of darkness binding her. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony of rage and fear. In that final moment, she felt a burst of energy. With one last, frantic motion, she could choose to plunge for the locket before her or push against the darkness surrounding her. Would she reclaim her past or banish the shadows consuming her? As the echoes of their laughter morphed into a wail of anguish, the choice spiraled around her, ready to strike. What would she become if she gave in to the darkness? And what unseen horrors awaited if she fought back? The air buzzed, her heart raced, and Jenna was left balancing on the precipice of her decision, uncertain of the path that lay ahead of her. Jenna fought against the icy fingers of darkness, her mind whirling. The locket shimmered tantalizingly in front of her, and she could feel its call pulling at her heart. But with every fraction of a second that passed, the shadows around her deepened, enveloping her in their cold embrace. My past cannot be worth this, she shouted, a shred of hope pushing through the suffocating dread that clung to her. You think you have a choice? Ricky sneered, his eyes narrowing like slits as he stepped closer. The ground beneath her writhed as if alive, the pulsing throb echoing the fear that gripped her. The shadows clung tighter, squeezing her breath from her lungs. Jenna's vision blurred as panic clawed up her throat. You want me to choose? Then I choose to fight, she cried, channeling all her defiance, all her pain into one desperate thrust against Ricky and Lily. And then, in a flash, she hurled herself forward, reaching for the locket. It burned at her fingertips, hot like a furnace, the pulsating energy merging with her frantic heartbeat. For that moment, time slowed, the laughter of her tormentors fading into an ominous hum. In the distance, the dark figure of her doppelganger shrieked, its voice a cacophony that shattered her resolve. Fool, you'll be trapped forever. You'll never escape. But Jenna's resolve ignited. She yanked the locket from the ground, its surface gleaming like a beacon against the encroaching shadows. Threads of light exploded from the locket, slicing through the darkness that sought to ensnare her. She could feel the weight of memories surge back, flooding her mind with clarity and warmth. Enough, Jenna shouted, fueled by the power blooming within her. The shadows recoiled, twisting away from the light, their forms disintegrating into wisps of smoke. Ricky and Lily's laughter faltered, shifting into cries of rage and despair. Do you think you can banish us? Ricky screeched, his face contorting in anger, the very air vibrating with his fury. You will pay for this. With one final push, Jenna felt herself rising, propelled by the energy of what remained of her memories. The pull of the locket became an anchor, grounding her even as she soared upward. The world around her shifted, and she found herself standing in a vast expanse, the light from the locket brightening every corner. But she wasn't alone. The shadows swirled back into formation, angrier than ever. They lashed out, their cries mingling with the sound of rustling leaves and heavy, oppressive silence. Kill her, Lily howled, the shadows morphing into a swarm, darting toward Jenna with an insatiable hunger. The locket flickered, and in that instant, Jenna realized the truth. The memories were not just hers. They could be weapons against the darkness. You want my past? Then take it. She screamed into the maelstrom, flinging the locket into the heart of the swirling shadows. It exploded in a burst of silver light, the memories spilling forth like liquid fire, crashing against the darkness. Jenna felt their weight crashing over her, pure and unyielding. Images, laughter, pain all surging past her, as if pulled from the depths of her soul, piercing through every shadow they touched. The shadows writhed, shrieking as the light began to consume them. But even as the memories tore through the darkness, Jenna could feel her own essence being pulled with it, a price, a sacrifice. The smiling faces of happier days faded, woven into the fabric of the shadows. No, she whispered, but the pull was relentless. She gasped, fighting against the tide, but the darkness wouldn't relent. Would she cling to the memories she had left, or let them go in exchange for her freedom? With every ounce of strength left in her, Jenna lunged forward, bracing herself for the futility ahead. I want to be your vessel. I am more than this. But would her defiance be enough to reclaim her existence, or had she already sacrificed herself to the shadows? As the shadows screamed and the light flickered dully, Jenna prepared for the final showdown, the answer hanging heavy in the air. Would the memories save her or devour her whole? The roar of darkness surrounded Jenna as the light from the locket surged forth, illuminating every haunting corner of the night. She felt them, her memories rushing back like a tidal wave, carrying the weight of her past, both beautiful and painful. The shadows screamed, twisting and morphing, losing their grip in the blinding glow. No, Ricky shouted, panicking as the brilliance devoured the dark, his face awash in desperation. Jenna's heart raced, each beat amplifying her resolve. You wanted my past? She cried out, her voice rising above the chaos. Then I'll give it to you, but not without a fight. With a fierce cry, she surged forward into the luminous storm, clutching the remnants of her memories. They swirled around her, swirling like clouds of hope in the darkness, each fragment reclaiming her essence piece by piece. The shadows hissed and writhed, recoiling from the brilliance with fury and dread. Lily, her figure distorted by darkness, leaned closer, the look of disbelief sending a thrill of triumph through Jenna. You think you can defeat us with memories? Her voice trembled, mingling surprise and fear. Yes, Jenna shouted defiantly, feeling strength radiate from within, blending with light as if her memories themselves were summoning the courage she needed. I am my past, but I am not defined by it. With that, she hurled a glittering shard of memory into the fray, a cherished moment of laughter shared with her children. As it exploded into vibrant light, the shadows screeched, their figures losing shape. The darkness began to splinter, cracking like glass under the pressure of her resolve. Ricky's shape twisted with frustration, and he lunged towards her, fingers outstretched, but his grip faltered in the blaze of her memories. You fool! You'll regret this. Jenna felt the light swell around her, a protective embrace. No, Ricky, it's you who will regret this. She thrust her arms wide, commanding the memories. They poured forth her mother's gentle smile, the warmth of her children's hugs, the laughter of friends who had turned into something grotesque. Each memory infused her with strength, pushing back against the shadows that sought to drag her down. Jenna pressed on, each step resonating with the power coursing through her. You underestimated the love, the hope I hold. The crackling light exploded outward, radiating warmth and life, flooding her with forgotten moments. She could feel the essence of who she was flexing against the shadows, holding the line against their insatiable hunger. The creeping darkness recoiled, shadows turning to smoke before her blazing light. Stop! Ricky screamed, his voice echoing, fragmented, as the darkness buckled under her resolve. She felt the oppressive weight of the shadows, their final spasm, but she would not falter. No, this ends now. Jenna thrust her hands forward, directing every ounce of power she found within her. You're all consumed by your insatiable hunger for fear, for control, but I refuse to be a part of your darkness. With that final declaration, she thrust herself into the heart of the chaos with the locket radiating brilliance. The shadows collapsed, imploding as Jenna unleashed a swirl of warmth and light that consumed them utterly. In an instant, the echoes of their laughter faded, replaced by whispers of what could have been, and the surrounding woods shifted, returning to tranquility. The night air lightened, and as dawn's first rays crept through, the heavy clouds lifted, revealing the beauty of a new day. Jenna stood amidst the remnants of the shadows, her breath coming in heavy gasps, but alive, more alive than ever before. The memories would stay with her, Each pain transformed into strength, every loss cradled as nourishment. She looked down at the locket still in her hands, and the warmth of her past didn't feel like a burden anymore. It felt like a part of her, a glimmering shield she would carry with pride. "Mom?" A soft voice called out, pulling her from her thoughts. She turned, and there stood her children, their smiles lighting up the morning sun, love radiating from their little faces. Her heart swelled, a balm for all the darkness she defaced. "Yes, my loves," she replied, spreading her arms wide, ready to collect them in a fierce hug. "I'm here. We are okay. We made it." As she wrapped them in her arms, the air was sweet with redemption. Jenna finally understood that while the shadows always lingered at the edges, so too did the light. It was a life lesson intertwined with her existence, now a reminder that she would never again be a prisoner of her fears or the darkness of others. And as they held each other tighter, laughter spilling into the morning light, Jenna felt whole once more. Now was the time to move forward, to reclaim her life, safe in the knowledge that she would always carry the strength of her memories, making her far more than the darkness ever wished to define. What a revival it was! Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and make your voice heard. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and wild theories about this ending. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. Only true fans understand how important your support is to the channel.